Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And today we're just going to ask the question of when should you start investing in your future? I know on this channel before we have jumped into things like investment in terms of the beginning steps of saving, budgeting, getting into investing and whatnot, things of that sort. But as far as trying to give a definitive time where you should be investing now, granted, if you are of whatever age, if you're 30, 40, 50 years old, jump into some form of investment for your future regardless. But this is for those who might be either very young and trying to figure out when is the time that they need to get started. Maybe you're a teenager, or say if you might be just wanting to give some advice to somebody that you know in terms of a solid time frame of when to invest, maybe somebody that's younger. So I would probably say that the age you don't want to go past, if you could avoid it, I would say is around the age 25 years old. And I say the reason why is because that way you could put yourself on a 20-year plan and still be about 45 years old and maybe aim for some sort of an earlier retirement rather than a later retirement. Because keep in mind, when it comes to your later life, and we spoke on this in the channel and previously, that you don't want to be retiring at the age that society tells you to retire, which is like 65 or over. You want to retire when you're at an age where you can still enjoy life. Don't wait to the last minute. So I would say you don't want to go past the age of 25 to really start investing. And once you start kind of diving into that space, it really gives you enough time at 25 on to kind of hit a really good, strong number, like I said, while you're still young. And in the future videos, we're going to go over the whole process of budgeting, things that you can invest in, how to go about investing, because though we did that previously on the channel before, I know those videos are a lot older. No one's going to probably find them on the ready. And so I will want to kind of just update a few of those things. So, but yes, I would say 25 is the age range in which you want to start doing that. So what I've done is I pulled up this, you can find this, just Google it, Compound Investment Calculator. And sorry for the tint in the whole glare. Let me try to dim the lighting, dim the brightness on this so you guys could see it a little bit better. And so this is just so you guys know what I'm going to be using reference for, but this is why I'm going to give you guys a sense of, excuse me, of just that kind of 20-year time frame. So let's say that you do an investment. I'll show you the calculations here. If you do an investment of 500, it's hard for me to see this from behind the camera. So I'm going to plug in the numbers and I'm going to show you. So the initial investment, 500, and then we're going to do the monthly is 500 as well. So you can see that there. The length of years, we're going to do 20 years. Sorry guys, behind the screen, it's just way too hard. 20 years. And then the interest rate. So I like to put, I think there are different investment accounts. Now what I'm referring to right now, but you can find other means to invest, whatever ways you're going to invest. And that could be real estate, that could be anything else. But right now I'm going to just briefly speak on you investing in, like, say, some kind of stock portfolio and index. And we've gone over that inside the past on the channel before, but just a brief breakdown. It's a collaboration of various stocks in a folder that gets distribute your money in a certain ratio, depending on how that index is set up. And the index is already determined. It will be like you're investing in this one, say for example, the Fortune 500, type 1 S&P 500 would be the top 500 stocks. That's already predetermined what's going to be the top 500 stocks. There are other portfolios that'll say it's based on, like, say, the electronic portfolio where it's electronic companies. So you get the idea. So it's already determined. And so that's where we're going on this basis here. And sometimes you could easily find something that does maybe and the average on the last, say, 10 years or more of, we'll say, like 15%. You can find more than that, so we're going to do 15%. This for 20 years. We're going to hit calculate, and that is what you would be at in 20 years. Now, it's not enough to retire at that point, but just to give you guys a sense of how the math works, at that 15%, what we're gonna do is this. What we're gonna do is move things around a little bit. Give me a second. So, at that 20 years, this is what we're at. That's at that 20 years. So, that was 15%, putting in 500 every single month, which I don't think is too crazy. Don't say to yourself, I can't do it, because honestly, this is for your retirement. Regardless of whether you're with a job that gives you a retirement, you should do this anyway, just in case. And if you're with a job that doesn't give you retirement, then this minimum of $500 a month, you should be doing it. Don't worry about what can I buy at the bar and having fun and all that other stuff. This is more important. So that was 15%. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna do a little bit of math here. We're gonna take that number there, 622,844. We're gonna take, so there's this golden rule. I've heard it from different friends of mine who are into investing. And they say the 4% rule. What that means is that if you withdraw 4% off your investments, excuse me, it shouldn't disturb the increase of interest, because it's low enough that it shouldn't disturb the overall balance of the account from going up as time goes on, even though you're withdrawing 4%. So the 4% of that is $24,913. It's actually 14 rounded up, so we'll round it up. Okay, so that's what you're looking at. Now, if I break this down, divided by 12 for a monthly amount, what you would be getting on a monthly amount, this equals $2,076 a month. So already it might be something that, depending on where you live, you can retire off of that at 40 something. Say if you started at 25, at 45, you can kind of retire off this. Now, obviously you could keep working this and that, but it gives you just a sense of something that you're working with. Now, here's the kicker for it. And I'm sorry, I'm a little under the weather, so don't mind. I got a bit of a cough. I will try not to cough that much. What we're gonna do now is this. That same number, we're gonna plug that in to the investment calculator. I'm not gonna show it on screen now because you guys saw how I do it. What I'm gonna do is this now. The $500 initial investment, we're not going to do that each as the initial investment. The initial investment now is gonna be this right here. We're continuing from that point, 844. 622, 844. There's 76 cents in there, but I'm not gonna throw that in there. Matter of fact, I'll just round it off to the dollar up. That should have been rounded off to $1 up as well. So don't mind that now I made it sloppy. $845. Okay, round it up to $1. Now your monthly contributions are now gonna be zero, because you're actually not gonna be putting money into it, you're taking money out of it. And now we're gonna do for the next 10 years, but the percent now is going to be 11% because from that 15%, you're taking 4% out every month to have that. And now we're going to do the calculation. And in another 10 years, when you hit 55, that's what you'll have in the bank. So we're going to write that down, and then I'll explain to you what's going on. 10 plus years, and now you're looking at, let's say this right here was 20 years, 10 plus years, and you're looking at $1,768,519 million. Now, essentially, this amount is what I'll do here is we're going to take that number and I'll tell you what we would be at 5 years, just to give you a sense of where the increments would have increased. And then we're going to break down what we're doing here. So for example, you'd be getting $2,076 from that age of 45. We'll say you started at 25, you're 45, you have that $600 and something thousand in the bank. Every month, 4% you're taking out. Now you're not contributing anything more than this. You're letting out of that 15% that we calculated you were making. Now you might be making a little more than that, might be making a little less, but for the most part, it's easy to find a portfolio that will do that much or better, especially the technology portfolios, because they're doing really good now because we're in that wave of technology. So your monthly amount you're getting from that is this, a 4%. The 11% is going back in. This means that every year, this $2,076 a month is increasing a little bit at a time, because that 11% is increasing the base over the years. So 4% of that increased base gets higher. And we're going to do the math at 5 years, what that monthly amount is before you even get to the 10 years. So we are looking at, okay, sorry, I started writing without even realizing that I paused to do my math calculations. So yes, so at the 5 year mark, so the 25th year mark, of you're no longer contributing to your base amount, you're just letting the interest do its thing, you'll be getting $3,498 a month instead of $2,076. So obviously, you know, this is what you're aiming for when you get to, like I said, 10 years from that 20 years. But the halfway mark, you can see how much you increase monthly that you'd be making. And then when you get to the extra 10 years or 30 years total from that point, but remember, the difference is here you were contributing money, and then at that point you stopped. And here you are no longer contributing, and you got to that amount. I'm just adding up this amount now. Let's see, and we're going to take the 4% from that, divide it to the monthly. And what you're looking at now monthly is $5,895 a month. So you can see how at 45 years old, hypothetically, if you started at 25, I mean, you would have that much amount a month. 5 years later, without contributing anything extra, you'd have that much amount a month. And then finally, when you let it reach 30 years of interest, you'd be getting that much a month. And obviously, if you just leave that base amount in there, your monthly amount is going to keep increasing, because you're only taking 4% out and letting the rest keep going right back in there. So essentially, this number, your monthly number, keeps increasing as time goes on. And so you could retire at 45 with a tight squeeze there. At 50, you are now making $3,498. At 55, you're making almost $6,000. And, probably at 65 now, you're making way more than that, but you've already been retired from a long time ago, doing whatever other things you want to do, or whatever the case is. Or if you did have an extra job, it would be extra income. So this is the basis why it's good for you to build your own retirement by investing for your future early and not waiting till the last minute. And don't necessarily rely on a job to do it, because you could do it better. Most jobs are taking some kind of percentage out. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have it through the job, but also do it for yourself if you can. I think if most people knew about this at that age, they would have gladly been putting money into these type of things. So I honestly would say 25 is that age, if I wanted to give a hard age of where someone if they had the choice to, by 25. As always, you guys, like, share, comment, subscribe. Stay safe out there, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.